Thank you for your interest in USD 113. The purpose of this screencast is to share information about our grading system that we're going to be following through the remainder of the 2019-20 school year, and how that's going to impact our kids as they go through the continuous learning process that we have set up. A couple of weeks ago, when our administrative team really started working in earnest on our continuous learning plan, one of the things that we were unanimous about was that we would not be able to continue grading in the way that we have been doing it, or the way we do it when we have students in the classrooms. We have a lot of different things going on with continuous learning. We want to be sensitive to kids who have inequities in access to the internet, in access to other items that might impact their learning. And so we wanted to make sure that we followed our philosophy that we had from the continuous learning, and so we really looked at that from that document to make sure that we are consistent there. And what we've come up with is a plan that impacts students at different grade levels. Now, it's a little bit different in our different buildings because we do things a little bit different in our different buildings, especially in regard to the personnel that we have working with kids. And so we came up with two different plans. One is for the elementary age kids, and one is for essentially middle school and high school age kids. So grades pre-K through 5, Axel, Sabetha, and pre-K through 4 for Wetmore. Feedback is going to be given to students by Google Classroom or Seesaw, whatever platform we're using for communication with those students. And at that grade level, a lot of our learning is skills-based, and so that feedback fits into that a lot better than it does for some of the older kids. We're not planning on fourth quarter progress reports or report cards being issued for those students because of the feedback that's going to be given. The older kids, grades 5 through 12 in Wetmore and 6 through 12 Axel and Sabetha, a letter grade that is based on the percentage earned will be assigned at the end of the fourth quarter. So we are planning on continuing with having a GPA for those kids, and high school kids earning credit based upon that. Semester credit cards for those students will be issued, but progress reports during the year until the end of the year will not be issued. So teachers are encouraged to keep PowerSchool up to date in order to communicate with parents. Parents are encouraged to log into PowerSchool and to communicate with teachers if there's any questions at all about what's going on there. One of the things that we want to make sure that we continue with is accountability, and that is not just intended to punish kids that don't get their work done. A lot of the intent of that is to continue with our relationships as we focus on the emotional well-being of students. So as teachers reach out to kids in regard to their grades and their assignments, they can also check in with them and hopefully get them help if there's a question there in regard to their emotional well-being. So item number 1 is really a statement about our philosophy or what we think about the grading. We want teachers to have flexibility to take grades with an emphasis on practicing grace. And so that grace goes two ways. We want to give grace to our students. We also want to give flexibility to our teachers as they go through this process and they try to figure out what grading looks like for them in their area. Our intent, what we really want to do is make sure that this current situation does not have a negative impact on students' grades. And we want to make sure that students who want to have an opportunity to increase their grades. From years as a high school principal, I know that for some of our older students, the third quarter is possibly the lowest quarter in regard to grades for our kids. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if the winter months have something to do with that. And a lot of times kids will do that at the beginning of the semester. They won't work as hard as they do toward the end of the semester because then they see more of a sense of emergency as the end of the quarter nears. And especially for high school kids, they want to earn those credits. And so we want to make sure that we give those kids an opportunity that want to work hard to increase those grades. So item number 2, then, we recognize that there's many factors outside of students' control, right, to not complete their work. So that could be something that's based on the family. It could be geography based. It could be a lot of different reasons. And so we want to make sure that we're sensitive to that. So with that consideration, no new grade entered at this time will be below a 60%. So in the past, a lot of times if a student did not get an assignment turned in, it would be a 0. We're going to make that 60% to have less of an impact. A 0, as it averages in, is very harsh to a student's grades. And so from here on, we want to make sure that if kids don't get things turned in, that they can't get something below a 60%. Now, that I don't want that to give kids a false sense that they're going to be able to pass if their third quarter grades have been failing and they don't do anything, they don't turn anything in, and the rest of their grades are at 60%, they will still fail. So it's important to recognize, and we want to reward that effort and that work, and we want to make sure that we continue to keep kids accountable. And our desire definitely is not to fail kids, but to give them the best opportunity at this time to not have a negative impact. So with that, if we're going to give a 60%, we're asking for teachers to make sure that they have 2 different contacts, an email, a phone call, something with kids, because we want to make sure that those kids are okay, number 1. And number 2 is we do want them to continue to be learning, and we want to make sure that they're engaged with school, at least for a portion of their day. So the next sentence there, students who choose to participate in class activities, they submit quality work, they will have an opportunity to increase their grades. We think that that's very important. Item number 3, in traditional classroom settings, teachers have a lot of flexibility to determine how they're going to take grades. And a lot of them have different formulas within PowerSchool, a weighted grading system, a different things, a point system for how they go about determining grades. So teachers, just like they do in the regular classrooms, they have the opportunity to assign a completion grade. So if a kid turns work in and it's well done, they can automatically give that kid 100%. So that would be a completion grade. If they wouldn't get that turned in under this formula, they would probably choose to give kids a 60%. Now, teachers also have an opportunity to exempt a task, an assignment, from a grade. So that is a different option that teachers have and they can choose to use that they also have in the regular classroom. They can choose to exempt a student from a grade from that student's overall grade. So those are some options that really are in the teacher's hands, and that is not any different than what we have done in the past. Item number 4, this is Edgenuity. So Edgenuity is used on occasion for kids to increase our curricular offerings or to do credit recovery for kids. And so they're doing that for 2 different reasons. We set a threshold of 80%. We want kids to get to that 80% mark, and then they're given an overall grade within Edgenuity, and then that grade that Edgenuity gives them will be used as the final grade. Item number 5, dual credit grades. So this is for non-USD 113 teachers. We have kids that go to the Western Center for courses in Baileyville. We also have kids who take online courses, and so through Highland Community College. And so the grades that those non-USD 113 teachers issued will be entered in PowerSchool as submitted, and I believe that is consistent with the way we have been doing that. Now, we do have teachers on our staff who teach dual credit courses, and of course what they have in PowerSchool will be the grade that they have, and then Highland has to take their grade, so that's a little bit different of a different process there. Item number 6, transition to credit recovery. We want to make sure that kids who currently have no mathematical possible ability to pass a course are not going to have to continue to do continuous learning in a course that they don't have an opportunity to pass. And so with the teacher and the principal meeting and agreeing to this, and then going to the parent, making sure we have parent consent, we want to make sure that we transition that kid into an Edgenuity course for credit recovery as soon as we can, so that that kid has the opportunity to get that, to recover that credit. And then that can also be this is what we do for summer school. That could also be something for summer school. And so we want to make sure that we're transitioning kids, that we're getting them to earning credit for the work that they're doing as much as we possibly can. So if we do that with the kid, a grade of F would still be recorded for the second semester USD 113 course that they would then go on and work on in Edgenuity. Item number 7 is just some due dates, and that's especially of interest to teachers. Those are consistent with what we have done in the past, and so I do want to encourage accountability. I do want to encourage communication between the home and our teachers, and between our teachers and homes. And I know that this is an entirely new process for us. We're going to make mistakes, and so I ask that you please communicate. If you go to our website, there's an opportunity to fill out information. That information comes directly to myself, and then I get that information out to the relevant personnel that need to know about it. And hopefully we can continue to improve as we go through this process. I appreciate everybody's patience, and I appreciate the grace that they're giving us as we continue to do the best we can to meet students' needs through this continuous learning process. Thank you.